Michigan versus Washington. Both teams have a massive chip on their shoulders. The question, why? I've got the answers. It's right here. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to talk about the mantra, Michigan versus everybody. And by the way, the Huskies feel the same way. Washington versus everybody. Both have chips on their shoulders. I want to get to the bottom of it for both of these schools before the national championship. Got some other news to get to, and also our Big Ten classics at the end of the program. You want to check that out. We always do that at the end on Thursdays. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe down below. Always helps us out. Thank you very much. Really appreciate if you do it. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. And you can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And a reminder, just like we did after the Rose Bowl, after Monday night's championship game between Michigan and Washington, we will go live on this YouTube channel, Locked On Big Ten on YouTube. This will probably be after 11 p.m. Eastern, I'm thinking. It's a 7:30 kick, so that's what I'm thinking. Somewhere between 11 and 11:30, we're going to go live, so check us out. We're going to have a lot of fun. We'll take your live comments, immediate reaction to the championship and everything that's going on. In addition to both Michigan and Washington arriving to the national championship with perfect 14-0 records, both of these teams have arrived with massive chips on their shoulders. Now, Michigan's chip, it's pretty well documented if you go back through this whole season, if you watch them all season long. I mean, their team slogan is literally Michigan versus everybody. It's an us versus them mentality. They've had it all season long. It has grown. It has morphed into a thing that this team is centered around. This team lives by this code. It helps them focus. It helps them block out all the noise that's going on. Now, what noise do you say? Well, first of all, we can start with the 2 Jim Harbaugh suspensions. For starters, the 3 games at the beginning of the year, the 3 games at the end of the year. I mean, seriously, how many teams could have their head coach suspended for half of the season, in the regular season, and still go undefeated? Not many. Not many at all. So, I mean, it's a long story. If you're a Michigan fan, you're very familiar with what's going on. Of course, during the peak of the Spygate story, during 2 different conference calls on back-to-back days, the Big Ten football coaches and the Big Ten athletic directors demanded that Commissioner Tony Petitti, 3 months on the job, break protocol and break due process and take Harbaugh and Michigan down immediately for the accusations with suspensions. I mean, think about it. Remember, we go back in time now. The NCAA had barely begun its investigation into the Spygate matter. The Big Ten had not even started to look into the matter. And then all of a sudden, the conference brought down the hammer on Michigan with 3-game suspension for Harbaugh. All of this is unprecedented. It is incredible. Now, I don't know about you, but it was the sense of urgency from the other coaches and the athletic directors that struck me. Do something now, they said. The NCAA investigation will take too long. Huh? I mean, we had barely started this investigation. In other words, Michigan football was too good. Can't stop them on the football field. Let's stop them some other way, right? Now, wouldn't that make you feel like you against the world if you're Michigan at that point? What if you were dominating your coworkers in your line of work, whatever it is you do, and they all grouped together with your boss and wanted you punished because you were making them look bad? That's what happened here, or at least that's Michigan's perception of what happened here, right? And that's why they rally together with this Michigan versus everybody mantra, that they just, this is the glue that holds this experienced, awesome, powerful team together. Nothing will unify a group or a team or a fan base quicker than a perception that others are trying to destroy you. So in that sense, Michigan's success up to now has completely backfired on all the other coaches and all the other ADs who demanded that Tony Petitti bring Michigan down. Some would argue even that this mantra that we're talking about here with the Big Ten and us against the world and everything, you could be even applied to the College Football Committee's rankings all season long. Michigan, in my opinion, clearly was the best team in the country all season long. And yet they were never ranked number one during the regular season with the college football playoff. It was always either Ohio State or Georgia. And until Georgia finally lost at the end, they had no choice but to make Michigan number one at that point. Ohio State was ranked number one early on based on their top 10 win over Notre Dame. That was impressive at the time. But looking back, Notre Dame was completely overrated this year. That win wasn't as great as we thought. It was a great game. Enjoyed it nonetheless. But and let's not forget Michigan, of course, beat Ohio State. Regarding the Bulldogs, the Georgia Bulldogs, they're the best team in the country. They were ranked number one most of the season, but clearly, in my opinion, they were not the best. Look, they were very good. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to hear from SEC or Georgia person here on the comments here, but they were really good, but they weren't as good as they were the last 2 years. And it seemed like they were ranked number one based on their body of work the previous 2 years. That's not how it's supposed to work. The Bulldogs' impressive team from 2 years ago should have nothing to do with how the 2023 rankings go. I think I'm fair in saying that. Bottom line, Georgia was good, very good, not nearly as good as the previous 2 years, and I think Michigan was better. And after Michigan beat Ohio State and Georgia lost, the committee had no choice but to put Michigan at number one. And then maybe, just maybe, for those that thought that the undefeated ACC champion Florida State football team should have played Michigan as the number 4 seed instead of a one-loss Alabama, maybe the committee thought that Florida State had no chance to beat Michigan, and they wanted to put a team in there that would. Maybe. More us against the world, if you would. And look, Florida State would not have done anything. I mean, as evidenced by their 60-point loss to Georgia in the Orange Bowl last week. But they wanted to knock Michigan out, right? Let's put in perennial power Alabama, the Crimson Tide, in there ahead of an undefeated ACC team. Look, that's going a little far. I'm not all in on that theory, but it's out there. It's out there for consideration. Maybe something to think about for a little bit, but it's getting to be a moot point. We moved way on from that. We're down to the final 2 on Monday night for the championship. But when you're Michigan and your perception is that all this is taking place, it's easy to see how they feel like, look, it's Michigan versus everybody. It really is. It's really easy to see. So would love to hear what you think on all this. I know some of you are already typing away. Hit me up on the comments. You always can find us on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten number 10. Also our website, talkbig10number10.com. You can always check us out there, as a matter of fact. And of course, you guys hit me up all the time on YouTube on the comment section. Always love it. And I've been noticing a fierce rivalry back and forth. By the way, speaking of that, if you're new to us, and particularly if you're a Husky fan, welcome aboard to Locked On Big Ten. This is going to be your new home. If you're out there in Washington land, Oregon, USC, UCLA, and you're checking us out, come on aboard, subscribe, be part of it. You're going to be in the Big Ten here sooner than later. See this wall over here on the right side? I'm saving it for your banners. Actually, they arrived in the mail today. They're going up pretty soon. I can't wait. Can't wait till the next fall. So we're going to put them up sooner than later. But yeah, welcome to Locked On Big Ten, and tell all your friends about it. Get used to transitioning yourself from being a Pac-12 fan to a Big Ten fan, because that's where you are. All right. Anyway, we'll take your comments on all that. We just laid out the case as to why Michigan has a massive chip on its shoulder. The Huskies have a pretty big chip on their shoulder as well. So we are going to get to all of that. Later on, we'll have our classics from the Big Ten. All that coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. I want to tell you about game time. Maybe you went to a bowl game. Maybe you're going to go to the championship game in Houston. Maybe you're going to go to an NFL game, maybe catch one of the playoffs. It's all great, right? You get your friends together, you go, and then who's going to get the tickets? Oh, that's your job. All right, I'm going to make it easy for you. Game Time. Check out the Game Time app. They will help you out. This is very, very easy. You don't have to worry when it's your turn to buy the tickets and get it. They got great deals all the time. It's very fast. It's very easy. And by the way, you can do this for anything. It doesn't have to be sports. You got a comedy show in the local neighborhood, go. You got a concert, theater, something highbrow like that. You can get all these tickets with the Game Time app. All right. So check it out. And they've got the flash deals, zone deals, last minute ticket deals, always something going on over there. And the feature I like the best is you can see a view of your seat. They got a picture of it, of the view that you will have if you buy the ticket to that seat for that event. All right. So you can check that out, and it takes 2 seconds, a couple taps on your phone, and you're good to go. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. They've got your zone deals where you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for big time savings. Whatever you need, it is right there. So you could take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and the redeem code Locked On, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. I want to thank everybody before we move on for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. You everydayers are driving this. It's fantastic. Thank you very much. If you're new, welcome aboard. If you haven't done yet, please subscribe and follow us. You can subscribe on YouTube or share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. Thank you very much. All right. Let's take a look here at Washington for just a second. I want to get into them. And because I think they got a chip on their shoulders as well that I want to talk about, just like Michigan has, and for different reasons too. Okay. Look, Washington is known for a long time. They're going to be pretty good this year. And they were pretty good this year, of course. But a lot of people across the country, they want to knock the Pac-12 as not being very strong, being soft, have no defense. There have been times where that argument has been valid. Now, I will say this year, unfortunately for the Pac-12, in what is their last year, probably their best year in their history, and all the great quarterbacks and all the exciting teams to watch. Nevertheless, big hunk of those teams are coming over to the Big Ten. Just add all the Big Ten excitement. Very excited about that. But there've been a lot of knocks against Pac-12 teams. And, a lot of times people don't watch them because you're on the East Coast. You don't stay up for a West Coast game. And so the perception lingers, even though people maybe didn't actually see or watch the games or the teams themselves. Nevertheless, there are always some knocks on the Pac-12. It's always part of, and some of those knocks are what kept them out of playoff contention a lot of these years when we had the 14 playoff. But within the Pac-12, going back to this summer, what were people saying back then? Oh, this is supposed to be Southern Cal's year. Yeah, this is Southern California. They got Caleb Williams coming back off the Heisman. This is it. Boom. There is no bit. And then some would say that, okay, maybe Oregon is okay. Maybe it's either USC or it's Oregon. Watch out for Oregon. They're going to be good. That's what the pundits would say. And by the way, Oregon was very good, no doubt. But finally, after praising USC and Oregon, those who actually knew something about the Pac-12 would also throw in, and let's not forget about Washington. So it's kind of a 3-team conference. You keep kind of like the Big Ten with Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State, and then kind of everybody else, right? That was kind of the MO over there in the Pac-12. But then the season began to play out. And, of course, Michael Penix Jr. was absolutely phenomenal throughout this season, became the runner-up to the Heisman. And as their season went on, they then beat Oregon 36-33 in mid-October. But instead of getting credit for the win, people questioned the missed kick and the bad fourth down coaching decisions by Oregon for the outcome of the game. It didn't seem like the Huskies really got credit for the win, right? In fact, the Huskies didn't even crack the top 4 in the college football playoff rankings until they went 11-0 late in November. That was when people started finally giving them the respect that they deserved. and put them where they need to be in the top 4. So all these things together had to be the biggest slap in the face as Washington prepared for a rematch versus Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. And guess what? The Huskies were, you remember, 9.5-point underdogs. How can you go through all that undefeated, beat Oregon, and then beat them by 3 and be 9.5-point underdogs? How can that be? That would make me very upset if I was the Huskies, and it did. And then on top of that, against Texas in the Sugar Bowl, they were underdogs, despite the fact that Texas was ranked lower than Washington. But through it all, Washington just kept on winning and winning football games. And here they are in the national championship, to their credit. By the way, they're 4.5-point underdogs against Michigan on Monday night. Underdogs again. So it's either Michigan versus everybody or Washington versus everybody. It can't be both. And it'll be figured out on the football field on Monday night. Again, catch us live on Locked On Big Ten, live on YouTube right after the game. All right, I have some other portal news for you around the Big Ten. Ethan Kaliak-Manis was quarterback in Minnesota. And good kid, soft-spoken kid. Everybody seemed to like him. Not the greatest quarterback in the world. He threw like 14 touchdowns this year. They really relied on the running game there in Minnesota. And he felt like after they got blown out by Purdue that he took too much heat from PJ Fleck. And, he was all in before that, rowed the boat and all that kind of stuff. He said, you know what? I'm out of here. I don't need this. I'm gone. And he's going to Rutgers. He's going to Rutgers. Rutgers runs a much different style offense. At least they did with Gavin Wimsatt this year. So Kaliak-Manis, more of a thrower, Wimsatt more of a runner. But he's going there. His former offensive coordinator at Minnesota is already there, so he likes him. And right before Kaliak-Manis made his announcement, his brother Dino, who was a wide receiver at Minnesota, also announced he was going to Rutgers. So, boom, he's going. I think he'll be happy there. Be very, very interesting to see how that plays out between he and his brother over there at Rutgers. Greg Schiano and company had a winning season this year. They won the Pinstripe Bowl, and they got a lot of players coming back. A lot of good key players coming back, including the Big Ten's leading rusher, Kalman Ungai. So there are some pieces in place there, and it's an advantageous type situation for Kaliak-Manis, I think, to possibly do well. One other note I want to make mention of this podcast here today. It's the first time we've met since another dominating performance by Caitlin Clark the other night. I want to talk about that, make sure that she was mentioned. And if you have not taken time to watch Caitlin Clark and Iowa Lady Hawkeyes basketball for whatever reason, do yourself a favor, watch her before it's too late. She's phenomenal. She can hit a shot from anywhere on the floor. You know how Michael Penix can make a throw to any point on the football field? She can make a shot from any point on a basketball court. She's the reigning National Player of the Year, and every night it's another career highlight film. So she beats the buzzer, and I mean barely. It looked like she got the ball with 1 second to go, got the shot off with 1/10 of a second to go. Barely. She got it off, but barely. And it was from the logo almost at center court. Now, it was pointed out to me today that Iowa does have a rather large logo. So don't make it sound like it was a half-court shot, but it was still pretty good. And she nailed it at the buzzer and beat Michigan State 76-73. It was her 10th 40-point performance of her career. That breaks a tie with former Missouri State guard Jackie Stiles for the most of any Division I player in the last 25 years. It was also Clark's 4th consecutive performance with at least 35 points. Absolutely, absolutely incredible. So congratulations to her and the Lady Hawkeyes for the win. Big Ten hoops Thursday night. If you're catching this Thursday morning upon its release, Thursday night, we got some more hoops, men's and women's, around the Big Ten. It's a Peacock doubleheader. Got to get you some more games on Peacock. That's where you can find them. 7-6 Penn State is at 8-5 Michigan State at 7 o'clock tonight. And then that is followed by 10-3 Minnesota at 6-7 Michigan, again on Peacock. Meanwhile, back on the Big Ten Network, ladies hoops, a doubleheader tonight. 11-3 Michigan is at 11-1 14th ranked Indiana at 7 o'clock. And 10-3 Nebraska is at 7-5 Wisconsin at 9 o'clock. These are all Eastern times as well. And I want to tell you that Locked On, if you haven't discovered yet, has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And it's called Locked On Sports Today. And it's here for you 24/7. It covers all the top sports stories of the day. Local experts have locked on, plus our national shows covering every single league. This show appears on that channel also. In fact, it was just on yesterday, 6 o'clock Eastern time. Loved it. We talked about Michigan and Washington. So you can find all your favorites there in one place. First of all, make sure you subscribe here to Locked On Big Ten, and also go ahead and subscribe to Locked On Sports Today. And I think you will enjoy it very much. All right. We're going to take a look at the weekend coming up here. We got to do something to fill the time before Monday night's national championship between Washington and Michigan. Okay. So we're going to see what's on the Big Ten Network. We got the Big Ten Classics that we always like to look at. We'll let you know their live action when the basketball games are going on and the press conferences, media day, and coaches' interviews when they will be broadcast live on the Big Ten Network from Texas. Is Jim Harbaugh and Michigan and company get ready to take on Washington. So we'll have all that information for you, and we'll do that in just 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. You know, the NFL season's wrapping up this weekend, and it's time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's win or lose now, okay? The app is very easy to use. There are a lot of different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Those are exciting. Find bets on the new Explore tab. They got it real organized for you there. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. It's all organized for you. And the best way to find the popular parlays and more is right there at FanDuel. Now, I'm going to give you some personal advice about FanDuel this weekend. If you're wanting to have a little action on the NFL, keep close attention, pay close attention to who's playing and who's not. Some teams have everything locked up. Baltimore Ravens, 49ers, locking things up. It's already done. So they're going to rest players. The best players aren't going to play. Maybe don't take them for a win. Maybe not. Other teams are very desperate. Everybody's playing. Everybody's all in. Those are the teams you want to concentrate on. Just my tip to you with FanDuel. All right. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right. It is time to take a look at this weekend schedule. What's going on with the Big Ten Network? We always like to take a peek. We're not actually affiliated with the Big Ten Network, but we like their program, right? We got everything that we like on the Big Ten is there. So we thought we'd check it out. I'm going to put it on the screen if you're audio only. Make sure you check it out. Well, I'm going to explain it to you in case you're audio only. If you're on video, we'll have it here full screen and see what is coming up. And there we have it. Okay. Let's start you off. Let me get rid of this this banner real quick. We will start you off with, there we go. Friday the 5th. All right. We got Big Ten football in 60. Guess what? The Rose Bowl. Michigan and Alabama, the game we just saw. You got to go back and watch just to watch Blake Corum's 17-yard touchdown in overtime. It was the move, the spin, the power. It was all on display in one play right there with Blake Corum and that touchdown. Incredible. Second touchdown of the game. Of course, the first one was a receiving touchdown. Second one, running it in and overtime for the winning touchdown. Then at 6 o'clock on Friday, this is Eastern time, we got Big Ten women's basketball. Iowa, we just spent a couple of minutes talking about Caitlin Clark. She's back in action on the road at Rutgers. Iowa at Rutgers. And we can see if she will get her 5th straight game of 35 points or more, perhaps, right? Then on Saturday, the 6th, we've got the Michigan National Championship Media Day from Houston, 10 a.m. So that's Media Day. It's going to focus on Michigan and Michigan players and Jim Harbaugh and all that. 10 a.m. And by the way, they will be rerunning this at various times throughout the weekend, but I wanted to put it the first time. If you want to catch it live, 10 a.m. on Saturday, and then at 11:30, they're going to show you the Washington portion of the media day and their coaches, Coach DeBoer and probably Michael Penix Jr., among others. So that's what's going on from Houston. It looks like they're going to cut it short there at 11:30 because at 12, they got to go to Big Ten men's basketball, Rutgers at Iowa. Okay. And then later on at 2:15, more Big Ten men's basketball. Nebraska is at Wisconsin. And at 4:30, Big Ten women's basketball, Purdue is at Maryland. So there's your Friday, Saturday schedule. And we got some more stuff to share with you here on Sunday, also as it pertains to the national championship, because on Sunday, they're going to go back. Now, this won't be like media day with everybody, but at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday, the national championship coaches press conference. So both the head coaches will have their press conferences. You can see that live at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday morning. At noon, Big Ten men's basketball, Michigan at Penn State. At 2 o'clock, we've got Big Ten women's basketball, Indiana at Nebraska. And then at 4 o'clock, more. If you missed it earlier on Friday, they're going back to the Big Ten football at 60 with the Rose Bowl with Michigan taking on Alabama. Again, if in case you missed it earlier there. And 5:30. Big Ten men's basketball, Maryland at Minnesota, and then at 7:30, Big Ten men's basketball, Michigan State at Northwestern. So that is the schedule on the Big Ten Network going into the weekend. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope that was helpful for you as well. In the meantime, there are many ways for you to interact with me, and of course, you can check me out at Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Don't forget it is number 10. And also, you can follow me on our website, which I just put back up on the bottom of the screen. There you go. TalkBig10number10.com. Feel free to check that out at any time. A lot of great stuff there. All of our old podcasts are there. Get some merch, whatever you need, it's there. And then also your comments on YouTube are always welcome. And love to get both some Michigan and Washington people going back and forth on that. That would be a lot of fun. And you can subscribe to Locked On Big Ten right now before you leave. It's free. Gets you in. You're good to go. You're in our Big Ten club, and you get first notice every day when our new podcasts are out. The audio comes out around 4 in the morning Eastern time, and the video comes at about 6 a.m. And it's there all day for your leisure. So subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available. Plus, there is our Locked On Sports Today channel, 24/7 streaming, everything, all the Locked On family, it all goes there. Just there. We are on there, others there, your favorites, they're all there. Feel free to check that out and subscribe as well. All right, we are yet another day closer to the national championship between Michigan and Washington. Can't wait. We will continue to focus very heavily on that. Tomorrow we'll be back with more preview. Every day we'll preview something else regarding that game. Can't wait to see you then. But thank you for joining us here today. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.